It's the Full Court Press with Eric Franson and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the to the show that we're doing right now.
Following the local teams, breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interviews.
There's going to be much higher expectations, sense of awareness of what we bring to the table.
Join the show by calling into 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press.
Rose, answer. Yes! Caught! Touchdown! They did it!
All right, welcome back, Full Court Press. Jason Walker with you here. All right, we're trying to work through. We're trying to get Rob Neilson on the other end here, and I think we've got him. Rob Neilson, you there? Utah State volleyball head coach. You there, Rob?
Yeah.
All right, glad. I'm still somewhat new to getting the phone calls through the system, so apologize for disconnecting and all that fun stuff. But glad to have you on.
All good. Happy to be with you.
So let's just talk about Mountain West tournament. I guess, well, there's actually one quick question I have. Because you guys are going to go play in the NCAA tournament, going to face Arkansas, and it's in Eugene, Oregon, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
So it's 6th seed Arkansas. But you guys didn't have a seed, at least a number. Is that... Do you have a seed, or did I just miss something? 'Cause I was wondering what the heck happened with that.
Yeah, so this is the NCAA women's volleyball tournament for the last however many years has only seeded the top 16 teams. And so that's been how it's gone for a long time. The top 16 teams host. And then they've kind of sorted everything else regionally. So you saw a lot of Utah versus Utah matchups in the past. BYU and Utah would always play each other in the first or second round, and Utah teams would go play at BYU or Utah if they were hosting at one of the top 16 teams. This year, they've sorted, or they've ranked the top 32 teams, and so it's created a little bit more parity, a little bit better matchups, I think. And then if you talk to people that are on the committee, they actually do rank out the rest of the teams. They're just not given a number. So I guess you could say we are like an 11 seed. And that matches up with about what our RPI is. We're somewhere, in the top 50 in rankings. So, right, 4 regions, we're the 11th seed, somewhere around 44.
Yeah, I was figuring it must be something like that. But, yeah, I saw the press release and was looking at the brackets, and I was like, because initially saw the press release, Utah State's facing 6th seed Arkansas. And I was like, what seed's Utah State?
Yeah, that's
so
right.
I was just like, I don't know what the logic is behind that, not putting the number out there. But we'll come back to the tournament in a minute. We'll have some conversations about that. But I do want to talk about the conference tournament itself. And just the first thing, going into the tournament, you're facing New Mexico in the first round. Granted, you were normally the favorite, it being a 4-5 matchup. But this is a team that you'd lost to 6-1 throughout 2 regular season games. UNLV, you lost 3-2 a couple of times. You end up beating both of those teams 3-0.
Mm-hmm.
How does that happen where, you lose 12-5 combined versus these two teams, and then you go 6-0? Like, how does that happen?
Yeah, it gets players fired up. I think they always say it's tough to beat a team 3 times, in a season, or twice in a season. Tough to beat them again. And, we knew those teams. We knew we competed against them well. Against New Mexico, we felt like we let one get away at home. Obviously, they came in and played great, but we were up 22-16 in the first and 22-19 in the third, and lost both of those. Lost that match in 3. And then went out to New Mexico, and we had already clinched. It was the last week of the season. We had already clinched our playoff spot. We knew we were going to be the 4th seed. And New Mexico was out there fighting for their playoff lives, right? They needed to win to get in. And so that was, our feeling going down. And obviously they played great volleyball. We weren't prepared for the challenge when we went down there, but we were really excited to see them again in the tournament when we were both fighting for our playoff lives. And we knew that we could challenge them in certain ways. And, in the end, I think you just need players that step up to the challenge. And that's what our team did. And then you go ahead to that UNLV match, just like you mentioned. We had played them 2 matches, lost in 5 sets, both places, at UNLV and at home. But we had outscored them in both those matches. The sets that we had won, we had kind of run away with. So we felt confident going into that. We just needed to be better over time. And, man, what a special match. Our players stepping up. UNLV was a great team this year. They were on a 17-match win streak. Came in with the player of the year, the coach of the year, the newcomer of the year, just a very talented team. And our team stepped up to the challenge, and it was amazing to watch them on a magical run.
So how surprised were you, being able to beat that UNLV? I guess not just beat them, but again, you swept them. Like, were you surprised that your team did that?
Man, it feels so great to win at the end of those matches. But I don't know if surprise is the right word. I was amazed at just the composure of our team. The resilience. You fight through adversity, little bouts in those matches. We were down 11-7 in the first when I called the timeout, and then you finish on an 18-7 run to win the first set. So that was unbelievable. And then we were down again in the second, I believe, and down pretty big. And again, just kind of the composure of our group to battle back. And so I don't know if I would say I'm surprised because I know we have that in us. But just to see our players do it under the highest amount of pressure against the best team that we're going to play is it's really fun to see, and just I think it speaks to how special this run was from our players.
Kind of talking about composure, so obviously you guys were absolutely on a roll through the first 2 games, at least winning 6 straight sets. But then San Jose State didn't look quite as crisp in that first set. You had some good runs in that first set against San Jose State, but eventually you give it up, lose, I think, 26-24 in that first set. Like, what was the conversation like in that, that huddle between the first and second sets where you'd lost your first set of the tournament, against a really good San Jose State team, and you were faced with winning, 3 out of the next 4 sets?
Yeah, one of our themes going into the tournament was that we wanted to play and compete together and not worry about being perfect. And I think we dealt with a lot of frustrations, right? The pressure of that final match. We want to be great. Just like you mentioned, it wasn't as clean as we wanted it to be. And we came into the timeout or into the, changeover after that first set and just talked as a group. This is what the match is going to be. It's going to be hard, and it's going to be frustrating, and it's going to be difficult, and things aren't always going to go our way. And that's how it's going to be. And so embrace it. You can get frustrated by that. You can get upset by that, or you can just understand that it's going to be hard and you're going to have to slog through. And, it was amazing that our players, I think, just found themselves comfortable in how difficult the match was going to be against a really good San Jose team. And, that's a mentality we talk about a lot is, the sagebrush mentality, right, from the Scotsman. Just, we want to be comfortable in tough, gnarly situations. And we want to love the sagebrush. We want to love it when things get hard. And, hats off to our players. They found comfortable amidst a really difficult competitive situation. And, man, we tore it up those last 3 sets versus San Jose.
So toward the end, it was the 4th set, where you guys ended up winning it. The camera panned to you. I think that you guys had like 23, or it might have even been match point. But the look on your face suggested that you guys would have probably down 2 sets and were about to lose. So obviously you were still serious up until the moment you won. But I guess what was the feeling like for you those last few points where, you're there just about. You're on the cusp. Like, what's that feeling like for you standing there on the sideline watching those last few points to seal the title?
I don't know. It must have been 1 or 2 points before, either 23 or 24. I started getting choked up, right? So it might have looked like I was feeling sour over there, but there's just a pretty heavy flow of emotions just realizing, hey, that this group just did something or is about to do something incredibly special. And I just think about how hard our players work and what an unbelievable group of women it is. Man, how much I love this group, how hard our staff works to try and, just help them move forward, and how much your players buy into some of those things. And I don't know, it's so gratifying to be a part of a group that's just pulling together in the same direction. And it was so fun. And so we're serious and we're on the end of a long week. And so, man, I was burnt out and tired by the end of that, watching our players celebrate. I was just kind of sitting over on the sideline. Definitely we were emotionally spent, but it was just one of the great feelings. And, there are good days and bad days in the coaching ranks. And I just tell people, man, that was one of the best.
Did you guys have a Thanksgiving dinner over, during the tournament?
Yeah, the hotel did something for us. It was all right. At our house, we had Thanksgiving the Sunday before, and my wife she's a culinary chef, right? Classically trained chef, and so she does it upright. We had a solid Thanksgiving.
There you go. Just kind of back as far as the winning the tournament. Last year, you guys were co-champions of the regular season with I believe it was Colorado State. But you fall in the semifinals. But I guess what's the difference this season? Where obviously you weren't regular season champions, but you win the conference tournament. Like, what's the difference between those last two seasons where you come home with hardware in both seasons? But is there a different feeling to this one?
Yeah, I think so. We spent a little bit of time, right, with our players trying to talk them through the comparison or feeling like you come into this season, we knew we were a better volleyball team this year than last year. Just more complete. The players that came back had been trained. We brought in a lot of talent. Some people got healthy that helped us out. We felt like we were a more complete volleyball team this year. But when you look across the conference, last year we were co-champions at 14-4. We were somewhere ranked about 100 I think we finished maybe at like 95 in the RPI national rankings. And the best team in our conference was somewhere around 75. So we beat some decent teams to finish, first last year to win the regular season, which is an incredible accomplishment over time. But when you look at our conference this season, we have a 17-1 UNLV team who's 22 in RPI. We're, Colorado State somewhere around 40. We were in the 50s almost all year. You have San Jose that's somewhere in the 50s or 60s, and New Mexico that's, in the high 70s, 80s. You have 6 teams in the conference that nationally were ranked better than the top team in conference was last year, right? So the margins were thinner. It was tougher. The competition was tighter. The way we had to play had to be better, more crisp. And so, that's just how it goes, right? We end up finishing 4th with what we felt like was a better volleyball team because the conference was so good. And so then to just, climb through that adversity a little bit and put together such an outstanding week for our players to do that just speaks volumes, again, of them, their resiliency, their hard work to improve throughout the entire year, and then just their determination and their competitive will. It was so magical to see, and I think it made this a really special run because of how tough the teams were that we had to come through.
So I got to ask about the tournament MVP, Shelby. I brought her up on the show a little bit earlier, but I'm not sure I said her last name right.
Capion.
I completely butchered it. I think I misread. I thought there were L's.
Yeah, there are. Those are, silent L's.
Oh, it's a double L that makes, okay.
From her heritage, yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay, I completely, because I think I pronounced it like Caplanche or something.
Yeah, she gets that a lot.
Tell her I said sorry.
No worries.
I butchered a name on national radio, or local radio. But moving on just to the tournament. So this is the first time this team's been in the tournament since 2010. I think 5th time overall. Of course, the tournament hasn't been going for too long. Like the women's tournament. How long has this women's volleyball tournament been going on? Do you know?
I'm not sure when they switched to the NCAA tournament. Probably sometime in the 90s. They've been doing it. The national championship that we have is from the AIWA back in 1979 or whatever the tournament was. So I'm not sure when it became the NCAA tournament. Our conference just started last year, this conference championship, and so they had taken some time off. But yeah, the NCAA tournament's been going for, a number of years, at least, 25, 30. So, for us to get in, I think it's, like you said, the fifth time in program history is, it's a special run from this group, and we're excited about what we're building.
So obviously you don't have, or at least I'm not aware of any experience you have with the women's NCAA tournament, but you certainly have some experiences on the men's side as a coach and as a player. I don't know if it was specifically NCAA tournament because I don't know how long they've been doing that, but you were with the BYU men's volleyball team, and I think they won a title in 2004.
Mm-hmm.
So, what was that postseason experience like for you, and what are you trying to convey to your players as far as how different a tournament like this can be?
Yeah, I mean, I was a player on that 2004 team, and then I was a coach. We went a couple times when I was coaching. 2013, 14, 15, we went. But on the men's side, they think they've expanded now to 8 teams. Back when I was going, it was just the Final Four. And so it was a different deal. Obviously you had to be at the upper echelon to go and compete for national championships. Here it's similar to the basketball tournament, right? It's 64 teams. So it's still, it's a tough deal to get there. There's 32 volleyball conferences, so there's 32 automatic bids, which we got one of, and 32 at-large bids. And so it's, obviously this is a big honor, but you're going to go and play some of the best teams in the country. We're really excited about our matchup with Arkansas. I know their coach really well. He played at my alma mater and then coached there for the women's program for a while before moving on to Arizona State and Arkansas. And they do a great job. And so for us going to this tournament, it's a feather in our cap, right? It's a great honor. It's a sign of growth for the program. But, man, this is a competitive group, and we want to go and play great volleyball. And we want to represent our school, and we want to represent our team and each other. And, we want more. We want to go and play great. And so we know it's going to be a tall task, but, we're not just happy to be there. We're excited to get after it and hopefully make some noise.
All right, I'll wrap it up, ask a couple of questions just about your opponent this Friday, I believe, Arkansas. Tell me a little bit about them, and also, what do you got to do to come away with the win? It'd be the first NCAA tournament win for the program since 2001, even though they've been a couple times since. But what needs to happen for you guys to win?
This is a really solid Arkansas team. They're, coming out of the SEC, which is obviously a great conference. I think they finished, third or fourth in the conference. It's a well-coached team. They're going to play the game similar to how we play, just in terms of their style and their tactics. It's not the most physical team. They're not the most physical team in the NCAA, but they win because they're consistent. They win because they're disciplined. And they play really, really good volleyball. And so we're excited to, test ourselves against some of the best. They've had some great wins. They beat a top 10 Washington program, a top 10 Georgia Tech program. And then obviously they're playing in the SEC against tough opponents. And they came into the NCAA as an at-large team. For us to win, right, we're going to have to serve great. We're going to have to be able to score points on both pins. And we feel like for us, when we're really comfortable and really finding flow, we're able to attack teams out of the middle of the court with our middles. And I think that was an important step for us. We started to find a little bit of rhythm with Kennedy Boyd, who's been an all-conference performer for a couple years, and then with a newcomer, Mirta Maring, who's just physically a beast, and she can present problems for teams offensively and defensively in a lot of different ways. And so, we're going to have to play good. We're going to have to, be competitive in the serve and pass battle, and then we're just going to have to grind. And win some ugly points here, and it's going to be a battle.
All right, Utah State volleyball head coach Rob Neilson coming off a Mountain West Conference Tournament Championship. They're going to play on Friday against Arkansas. Thank you so much for coming on, Rob. Hey,
thank you guys. Thanks for having me. We appreciate what you do, and we always love talking to you because we know when we're doing great stuff.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have a little more Utah State football. The all-conference teams came out today, and we'll talk a little more Utah Jazz and little Utah State men's basketball as well. More next on 106.9 The Fan.
One of this year's most popular and in-demand Christmas gifts is sure to be the e-bike. Find the best name in e-bikes, the Yamaha Power Assist bikes at Cash Honda Yamaha in Hyde Park. Yamaha e-bikes have superior technology and pure ride performance. Choose the model and style right for you. Yamaha all-road e-bikes or Yamaha mountain e-bikes, all backed up by Cash Honda Yamaha's full service department. Yamaha Power Assist e-bikes on display and on sale now at Cash Honda Yamaha at the Light in Hyde Park.
The end of the year is close. If you're on a flex spending account, you'll need to use those funds now. Crystal Vision, the 2-time gold medal winner in Best of Northern Utah, is holding a small business Saturday sale through November 30th. Shop in and choose from their great selection of frames with character. With your current prescription, Crystal Vision will fit you into a new look for the new year. Crystal Vision on 14th North or online at crystalvision.com.
You have to see it to believe it. The new Three Peaks Medical Plaza is Cache Valley's newest and most up-to-date medical facility. Cache Valley Ear, Nose, and Throat, the Allergy Clinic, and the Hearing Aid Center are now located in the Three Peaks Medical Plaza in North Logan. The entire staff and Drs. Benyon, Blotter, and Robinette look forward to helping you and your family at this state-of-the-art medical facility. Cache Valley Ear, Nose, and Throat is now located in Providence and Three Peaks Medical Plaza, 2245 North 400 East in North Logan. Go to CacheValleyENT.com for details. Most insurance products, including SelectMed, are accepted.
For over 20 years, Aegis Home Health and Hospice has been providing health care to Cache, Box Elder, and Rich counties. Whatever or wherever your health care needs, Aegis' goal is to meet those needs. Aegis Home Health and Hospice core values are character, experience, and trust. Aegis, AEGIS, striving to provide the health care services you need. Aegis Home Health and Hospice. Call 723-9000 or find them at myaegis.com.
Several families who need help this holiday season have been nominated by trusted individuals. Some of them need winter clothes, others would like toys or music, and others simply need basic necessities. The Cache Valley Media Group is sponsoring Cares for Christmas. Visit caresforchristmas.org to see what these families need, then drop off your donations to 810 West, 200 North in Logan. Thank you for helping these deserving families, and thanks for caring this Christmas.
This is Zach with HSA Depot. Christmas is nearly here. Make sure you be merry and bright by using your pre-tax funds on your medical needs. We know your regular holiday budget is disappearing quick, so instead, save money by using your pre-tax income to buy qualifying medical supplies. HSA Depot carries hundreds of unique and dashing eligible products to help you conquer your healthcare. Come to HSA Depot next to Sally Beauty Supply and see how much you can save this holiday season. HSA Depot, 5-star review.
This is Chris from the Cater Shop Menswear Store. We believe how you look is the first message you deliver. This also includes our floors at the store. Daryl at Chem Drive Northern Utah and his team came in after hours, cleaned the entire store, and had it ready to go before we opened the next day. I trust Daryl and his team from Chem Drive Northern Utah.
Chem Drive of Northern Utah. Chem Drive of Northern Utah. 435-752-6100.
They never could play it, but they sure can talk about it. Eric Franson and Jason Walker on the Full Court Press.
Welcome back. Second hour of the Full Court Press already in progress. Jason Walker with you here. Eric Franson gallivanting off into the wilderness as he's wont to do usually. He's doing important things. So, things that are more important than being on this show. So I can certainly handle it from here. We just had Utah State volleyball head coach Rob Neilson on the show. Thanks for him taking some time out of his day to come talk to us. And certainly a lot of success happening with that volleyball program recently. He took over in the COVID year for a program that had won like I think 5 or 6 games in 2 seasons between 2018 and 2019. We went 5-10 his first year, I think, and then in 2021 they win a regular season Mountain West championship, and then this year he felt his team was even better. Of course, the conference itself was a lot better, and then he wins they don't win the regular season championship. That went to UNLV, but then Utah State wins the conference tournament, beating UNLV. Utah State beat the 1 seed and the 2 seed in this tournament, UNLV and San Jose State. So a lot of success for this team that's brought home championship hardware 2 years in a row, and their season's not done, as they will play Arkansas in Eugene, Oregon on Friday, the 6th seed Arkansas. And Utah State's shown the ability to beat top-tier teams. UNLV, as I believe Rob said, the UNLV was ranked 22nd in the RPI. Utah State beat UCLA earlier, who I think was ranked 12 at the time. It actually led to Rob coming onto our show back then because they beat a couple of really good teams in a row, including a top 15 team in the country, I believe. Again, I think it was number 12. I could be off by a few spots, but, this volleyball program is having a lot of success right now, and Rob Neilson has had a huge part in that. But obviously the players play. Coach can be as good as, best coach in the world, but obviously the players got to play, and they have. They've played their minds out last couple of years. But want to get back to the Mountain West all-conference teams. If you weren't here in the first hour, we can summarize a little bit for you. Utah State had 9 players receive all-conference honors. Alfred Edwards was named to the first team. Brian Cobbs, Calvin Tyler Jr., and Ike Larson were all named to the second team. And honorable mentions for all conference. Got to find where I wrote it down. Chandler Dolphin, Daniel Grishik, MJ Tafisi, and Terrell Vaughn, and Hunter Reynolds were they were all honorable mentions. Which, Hunter Reynolds being an honorable mention was not I wasn't a big fan of that. I mean, I got a couple of different texts. I tweeted out, the players. I actually only tweeted out the first and second team because the press release I looked at, it was a release on Mountain West Conference website, didn't actually include all the honorable mentions. I had to find those later, so I just tweeted the 4 guys. And, a couple of different responses I've gotten one was Byron Vaughn's? Everyone was and Eric Franson wasn't happy about Byron Vaughn's not receiving any honors. And to me, it was, I agree with, Byron Vaughn's is good enough to be first or second, or at least second team probably. But his lack of stats, he missed a few weeks. That did him in. I think he was good enough, but it's hard for others to see that who aren't watching Byron Vaughn's every week and seeing the impact he's had week after week after week. I was more upset at Hunter Reynolds because the dude finished 10th in tackles. That's among all positions. He was a PFF Pro Football Focus, who, you say Pro Football Focus, but they also do college. They had Hunter Reynolds as an honorable mention All-American. And he was a mid-season All-American when PFF released their mid-season All-American. And it's just honorable mention. Seriously, it was kind of frustrating with him to not receive that honor. And it just felt like Utah State was just being all right, you're this. Where did Utah State finish? 6th or 7th in overall in the conference. All right, you were a middling team, so you get 4. You can't have. There's a ceiling as to how many, players that you can have on the all-conference team. But San Diego State gets unlimited ones, and Boise State gets unlimited ones. And, of course, the other reaction I got was Ike Larson not winning Freshman of the Year. Boise State's quarterback, Talon Green, I believe it was, he's the one who won Freshman of the Year, the quarterback. And that felt just like quarterback bias. Where Ike Larson twice was named Freshman of the Week, one Defensive Player of the Week for another. It was one of the weeks he was Freshman of the Week. He was also Defensive Player of the Week. That game against Hawaii where he had a pick 6. And it's just come on. why the quarterback bias? I was surprised he was even able to make second team because he didn't really start toward the end of the year because Gervin Hall was starting. Larson was playing a lot of special teams and then kind of rotating in as another defensive back, as another safety. But Larson's obviously got a long, good career ahead of him at Utah State, provided he stays here. You just kind of hope that they stay because obviously when players get too good at these lower schools, sometimes they end up transferring to better schools to maybe prep for the NFL. But Larson being a local kid, hopefully he'll want to stick around. If you want to text in, you have any thoughts on the all-conference teams. Also, we're going to talk a little bit about Utah State men's basketball, beginning to preview their December non-conference schedule. They actually start conference play like at the tail end of December, like December 30th or 31st. I think they'll play Fresno State. But looking at their December schedule, what teams are there? What does it look like? There's a bit of confusion as to like who they'll play with the Hawaii Diamond Head Classic because it's a bracket format. So there's like 6 different teams they could end up playing after their first guaranteed game, which is against Seattle. But if you want to text in, 435-339-0321. We do have one text coming in from 9315 says, "Are you for sure not much tops hosting the full court press? One day when one host is gone, you should have one of the top listing fan be one of the fill-ins for the day." I guess it's saying I said Eric was doing more important things than hosting the show, which I guess. And maybe we could have somebody come in. I did invite one of my old friends at the Statesman, former colleague at the Statesman. Mostly because he was somebody I knew and had worked with. We do have another one, 4781. Says, I agree with 9315. Let us fill in for you guys. Maybe. I'm not the one to make that decision, though. Might have to run that by. It'd be nice to have you guys on. Like, it's great to have people on for a conversation because I love the text chat. Love having you guys on. Maybe one of these days. We'll see. You'd have to run that by Eric because he's the one that's he's the one that's in charge. 4781. Get on it, Jason. Me and 9315 would have the station popping. I think that's what I'd be afraid of. I'd be afraid of that. Maybe we should have had you guys fill in on Thanksgiving since we were off on Thursday and Friday. Just have a couple of people guest host in between Thanksgiving naps after eating so much food. You can come in and host a sports show. Maybe. We'll see. Maybe I'll see if I can bring it up to Eric and say, all right, can we have one of the fans come on and guest host? I know calling in, you guys are always free to call in. Granted, today, with it being me and me alone, it's hard for me to answer the phone, even if I knew how to do it properly, which I kind of do. I had to have somebody in here help me out to get Rob Neilson on. So today's not the greatest day to call. It's not to say you're not welcome. It's just I may or may not actually be able to get you on the station. It'll be my incompetence. But yeah. 4781 says, calling in is not the same. Tell Eric he isn't a Jazz fan if he doesn't get us on the show. Yeah, maybe. And yeah, certainly calling in, it isn't the same because it's harder to have a conversation over the phone. And a lot of times if you call in, you get nervous and don't say what you're trying to say and stuff like that. So it's easier when you're just having a face-to-face conversation. So, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe we'll have a contest and see if we can get one of the fans on the show. Some kind of... I still have an ultimate trivia question. And maybe if we can do a contest. See who can answer my ultimate trivia question. The answer to a question, I'm pretty sure I'm the only person who knows the answer. Maybe we'll do something like that. 4781 saying stage fright does exist. And yeah, and I've had stage fright on the show interviewing people. We had a conversation with we had a recorded interview with a former Aggie great, somebody whose name I'd known, and interviewing him, and I was like nervous as heck initially. I initially flubbed the intro we were doing for the interview and had to re-record. Luckily, it was a pre-recorded thing. And it's just like, you get nervous sometimes. Luckily, I had the benefit of being able to just re-record. So, was able to just overcome my mistake. 9-15 saying, I've been the TV and radio play-by-play for wrestling before, so I understand the stress of saying something stupid. And yeah, I'll tell you, the worst stress is you say something out loud, and you realize, okay, that was maybe not the best thing to say. And I have to spend the next 10 to 15 seconds trying to walk it back without making it sound like I'm doing just a complete reversal. That's happened a few times. And you guys can probably find those moments, or you might be able to recognize them when they happen. Where I say something, realize I probably shouldn't have said that, and then I have to try and walk it back. It's a really nerve-wracking moment. You think about it for like minutes or, sometimes even later in the hour. It's like, oh gosh, it's frustrating. We're having a back and forth, 4781. Says 9315 is definitely more qualified than me. He's flexing on me with a play-by-play experience. Yeah, he is. He's saying he's got radio experience. We have people with radio experience. But hey, I started at zero. Technically, I had some radio experience. I started doing play-by-play for Mountain Crest. That's how I got my foot in the door here. That was back in 2016. So, 4781. I have experience in listening to the radio. Does that count? Kind of does, because the way I've tried to get better at radio, when I was just starting doing the show here, I was also listening to the Dan Patrick Show a lot in the mornings. And listening to other people doing radio, especially people who are good, so I don't know if I'm the best example at getting better at radio, but people who are good at radio, especially Dan Patrick's interviews, like Dan Patrick's ability to interview is, like when you break it down, what he does, it's great. The way he's able to interview and talk to people and get good answers and get like headliner answers, the kind of, answers from, guests that end up as headlines on other websites. So, 4781 says, I listen to Dan Patrick, The Herd, and Doug Gottlieb probably every day. I don't know about Colin Cowherd. Actually, well, the thing is, Colin Cowherd has really great delivery as far as being a radio host. I'll keep quiet on what I think of his takes. Doug Gottlieb's not bad. But yeah, Dan Patrick, really good on radio. 4781. Lots of text coming. Says, Colin Cowherd has crappy takes. I agree. Yeah. Like he said, Colin Cowherd has like a radio host. His delivery and his ability to, articulate whatever he's trying to say, great. The actual words coming out, again, I'll not say anything specifically bad. Let's just say I don't necessarily disagree with 4781. He texted in saying DP is the best. We do have a few more texts coming in. We're going to take a quick break, actually. Had a lot of back and forth here. We'll take a quick break. We'll get into some more of your texts. So we'll have that next on 106.9 The Fan.
Your skis are skinny and your boots tie with leather.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. You need up-to-date ski equipment, and your kids want the good stuff. Al Sporting Goods has season ski rental for the entire family. Ski and board equipment that you can rent for the entire season. Pick them up now, bring them back in May. And for a limited time, get a free Cherry Peak Lift Pass. Youth season ski or snowboard rental, only $99. Adult season ski or snowboard rentals, only $114. Don't wait. $99 and $114 season ski rental prices will go up. Al's Sporting Goods for season ski rentals. Every sport, every season.
As a small business, achieving your financial goals and ambitions can be a steep and rocky mountain climb. This is Lance Zollinger, president at Cache Valley Bank. To conquer the mountain and achieve your goals, it takes planning, hard work, and discipline. At Cache Valley Bank, we have the resources, expertise, and flexibility to help you scale your way to success. Give us a call. Let's work together and climb the mountains that await. Cache Valley Bank, member FDIC.
It's back. Jarek's Fine Jewelry in Logan is having our annual Pick a Pearl event. If you've attended this in the past, you know how much fun we have. And if you haven't come before, you don't want to miss this exciting event. For only $10, pick your oyster, open it that day, or save it for that stocking stuffer surprise. Mark your calendar, Friday and Saturday, December 9th and 10th. Pick a pearl at Jarek's Fine Jewelry. Look for the bright green cars.
Jarek's Fine Jewelry. Make it special. Make it Jarek's.
Holiday parties and events at the Riverwoods Conference Center offer a festive and fun holiday atmosphere. Paired with catering from the Elements Restaurant, your special occasion can include tasty hors d'oeuvres, delicious entrees, and decadent desserts that always deliver excellence. Now accepting reservations for the 2022 holiday season, the Riverwoods Conference Center and Elements Restaurant can accommodate you whether your event is large or small. Visit theriverwoods.com or call 750-5151.
Nothing compares to the warmth and feel that a wood stove provides. The two-time Best of Northern Utah winning team says there's never been a better time to replace your old inefficient wood stove and install a new energy-efficient EPA-certified Vermont casting wood product in your home. The U.S. government is offering federal tax credits of 26% on your wood stove install for Vermont casting units that includes stoves, venting, and labor. Call or email Advanced Fireplace and Stove for a free in-home estimate. Call 435-752-7272 or go to advancedfireplaceandstove.com.
And now, the Dan Patrick Show.
Dan Patrick.
I don't think there's anybody who thought Patrick Mahomes doesn't have enough time to be able to go down and score and beat the Chargers.
That's how I felt.
No, and look, I just realized, there's just certain things where in sports you accept it.
The Dan Patrick Show.
Dan and the Danettes and you.
Weekday mornings from 7 to 10 on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan. The Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Welcome back, Full Court Press. Jason Walker, as I try and fend off a couple of texters who are trying their very best to get on the show. Not necessarily saying no, but it's something I have to discuss with people who make decisions. So I'm not yet a decision maker, though I am very much able to make suggestions. I've actually pushed several things through, so I'm not powerless. But 4781-9315 really want to be on the show. So we'll see. They're giving their best pitch, and we're also talk about the rest of our radio lineup, which, I don't know, I may or may not be contractually obligated to tell you guys to listen to 106.9 24/7. Not really, but I have opinions on the other people who are on this radio station, because for the longest time I was listening to them every single day. Before I came here, I actually drove a bus, and I'd listened to it my entire shift. And so I've listened to Dan Patrick, Colin Cowherd, Doug Gottlieb, and then after we go off, we have The Odd Couple. You actually heard their intro at the top of the 5 o'clock hour because of my own technical issues. But 1534 is why I bring up The Odd Couple. Says, your guys' lineup is great until you go off the air. The Odd Couple is by far the worst radio ever. Who wants to listen to two guys that just yell at each other? I'll be honest, I don't have much experience with listening to that show because, well, I don't have the highest opinion of the sporting takes of Rob Parker and Chris Broussard. But they have a national show and I don't, so I don't know. Can't always punch up. But obviously, I think we've got a lot of good radio on here. And obviously, I think highly of my own show, as flawed as I think I am. I really enjoy doing this, really enjoy conversations with you guys over text. Our entire last segment was me talking basically with a bunch of our texters, which is absolutely a blast. Love doing it. 4781, who's been texting a lot of back and forth, says The Odd Couple is a close second to Two Bros and a Cup of Joe. When it comes to crap, I actually like that one. I really liked the Two Pros and a Cup of Joe. They're crazy football biased. They probably haven't even mentioned that the World Cup is going on, but I actually kind of like them. They certainly had their moments of being iffy, but I actually really like them. They're the ones that come on at like 6 a.m., or actually I think they come on at like 4 a.m. and go to 7 a.m. But I actually kind of like that one. I can understand not liking it, though. Like, I can understand how it wouldn't be someone's cup of tea. I just kind of liked it. 9315 says, if Eric and Jason and the rest of the crew like Al is great, just need a full court press for 4 hours or longer. Oh, heavens, I don't know if I can do 4 hours. 2 hours is hard enough. All you guys are going to push all of my I had a couple of texts I wanted to get to. 4781 says they're okay, just can't replace Outkick. Jonas Knox is low-key annoying. I'll actually give you that one. Jonas Knox is a bit annoying at times. The best part of that show is LeVar Arrington and Brady Quinn. They make that show really good. 1570, getting on the topic of radio shows. Covino and Rich is a pretty entertaining radio show. I've not listened to them. I listened to a lot of them, but I think, is that the one that's like on during our show on Fox? I can't remember. I remember hearing their ads, but I haven't listened to them. But I do need to get on to talking a little bit about sports. If you want to keep texting in those, I'll keep reading them. But there were a couple of texts. Oop, knocked the mic away from my face. There were a couple of texts, and I wanted to get to those because they were asking some questions about sports. 5338. I don't know if he was trying to nudge this conversation back toward sports, but he's asking, what are the college football playoff rankings looking like? Ohio State should still be in there. Yeah, they came out earlier today, I believe. They come out on Tuesdays. And the top four, the relevance, is Georgia, Michigan, TCU, and USC. So Ohio State not actually in there, contrary to what 5338 would have. And there's certainly a conversation as to whether or not Ohio State should be in or whether or not USC should be in regardless. Because I saw one column that said USC should be in the college football playoff no matter what. Because, the only way USC is moved out of the playoff is if they lose to Utah in the Pac-12 championship game. But if they moved out, Ohio State would move up from 5 to 4. But Ohio State, they won't play. So the only way that, say in Ohio State or Alabama, Tennessee, Ohio State's 5, Alabama's 6, and Tennessee is 7. None of those teams play this week. In fact, I think outside of the top 4, who I think are all playing in conference championship games, I think the next, Clemson at 9, I think, is playing in the ACC title game. Yeah, Clemson's playing in the ACC title game. Kansas State at 10 is playing in the Big 12 title game. Then you have Utah, who's at 11, playing in the Pac-12 title game against number 4 USC. So there's certainly an interesting argument, and we actually kind of talked about this, where I said, if the number 3 team loses to the number 2 team, why should they move back? Which I guess it doesn't quite line up because, Utah's number 11 in this case. But should USC be punished for losing a championship game? They played in a championship game. Should they be punished for playing in a conference championship game by being pushed out of the playoff and have somebody else who isn't playing in a conference championship game, like Ohio State? Do they deserve to jump in, even though they will not win their conference? Michigan or Purdue will win the conference, so probably Michigan, but who knows? Purdue upset Gonzaga in basketball. Maybe they'll do it in football, although Purdue's a lot better in basketball than they are in football. So that's certainly a conversation that can be had. 9-5 on the subject says, I hope TCU wins it all this year. And I'll be honest, I do too. He also sent in and said, then Jason should have a guest host from every sports that is at USU in the high school. You get out all the club sports. I think suggesting an extended radio show. Well, we've looked into the idea of extra content in the form of podcasts and things like that. We've looked into that, having more content that allows us to expand further beyond into more Utah State stuff. Because this is the first time we've talked to the USU volleyball team twice this season, and they're conference champions. If Utah State football wins the conference champions, we talk about them every day. So it's something we've looked into, so we can have more content. So it's not just a 2-hour show; it's maybe more podcasts. We have legitimately looked into that, and keep an eye out because we're certainly working towards trying something like that. We're going to take another quick break. We have a lot more texts, get into a few more quick subjects, and we'll finish up the show. Next segment here on 106.9 The Fan.
Aegis Home Health and Hospice loves helping the people they serve. Aegis is a home health and hospice organization that lives by core values of character, experience, and trust. Every day, Aegis' goal is to help you with whatever your healthcare needs are and to do it wherever you need us to. Aegis, A-E-G-I-S, Aegis Home Health and Hospice. Call 723-9000 or find them at myaegis.com.
This is Ryan at My Mattress. A mattress store recently closed right next door to our Riverdale location. Most people have said how awesome that is for us. I think I disagree. At My Mattress, we love competition. We love it if you shop other places, but also give us a shot. Shop online or go to other stores, maybe even a warehouse sale, but come into My Mattress because we want our shot at winning your business. Come into My Mattress right now and see if better sleep and better pricing are what you'll find.
Advanced Heating and AC, the two-time gold medal winner in Best in Northern Utah. They're teaming up with Carrier Heating and Cooling. Carrier provides you the best furnace units available. And now's the best time to buy a new unit before the weather turns Cache Valley cold. Financing options are available. Turn to the experts at Advanced Heating and Carrier. Advanced Heating and Air Conditioning, 752-7272. Or stop by their showroom west of DI. And online at advancedheating-ac.com.
We're not comfortable until you are. Advanced Heating and Air.
Hi, I'm Celeste Edmonds, Executive Director of the Christmas Box House. When I was a foster child, Christmas felt like something that was for everyone but me. Christmas should be for all children. The Christmas Box is working with the Utah community to provide Christmas for nearly 2,800 at-risk children. To learn how you can help today, please contact us at thechristmasbox.org or Google us. Thank you and happy holidays.
The Aggies, the Jazz, the high schools, the full court press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Welcome back. Final segment of the full court press here. Honestly, with the content, we probably could go 9 through 5 wants a longer show. We probably could go another hour with all the texts we've been getting in. I do need to get to one that I neglected, 7994. I did not forget your text. I've been meaning to come back to it. He texts in saying, I noticed that we play, and we're talking men's basketball here is what he's talking about. Notice we play San Diego, San Francisco, and Loyola Marymount. I think these are all West Coast Conference teams. This is a plan to show that the Mountain West is a stronger choice for at-large NCAA tournament bids? Maybe. I think it's just the West Coast Conference is the only one willing to actually come to the Spectrum. Although a lot of those are going to be home and homes. So next year, Utah State is going to go to some of these. Granted, they play, I think they're doing a home and home with San Diego. So San Diego is probably going to come to Utah State, I believe, next year. I don't know about San Francisco. And San Francisco and Loyola are both neutral site games, but some other ones against like Bradley, I know they're not West Coast Conference, but Bradley and Santa Clara. And honestly, you mentioned those three. I think, Santa Clara is also West Coast Conference. So there's a bunch of West Coast Conference teams that the Aggies are playing. And Pepperdine is a team the Aggies could play. Now, I'm going to have to push off I was going to do a breakdown of the schedule. We're not going to have time because we still have more text to get to. The Aggies will end up playing like 4, maybe 5 West Coast Conference teams. And if they end up beating all of them, which right now they're undefeated against the West Coast Conference, we'll see about San Francisco. That'll be by far the toughest game so far because they're, I think, 91st in the Ken Palm right now. And it's going to be mostly away. They're playing in the Chase Center, which is pretty darn close to San Francisco. At least a lot closer to San Francisco than, obviously, Logan. It'll be interesting to see if that, because the West Coast Conference has been good. We'll see how much it helps Utah State, because there's going to be a bunch of teams that are between 90 and 150 in the Ken Palm. They're 90 to 150 in the Ken Palm. They'll probably be around that for the NET. Although right now there's some teams that are starting to struggle, like San Diego. They've lost like 3 games in a row, starting with Utah State. 5338 says, USC's already lost to Utah this year, a much lower-ranked team than Ohio State lost to. And, there's the argument. I mean, I just brought up, Ohio State was 3, Michigan was 2. Ohio State loses, but Ohio State drops all the way to 5. Should Ohio State drop all the way to 5? They lost to the team they by the rankings, should have lost to. Maybe I can't remember if it was 2 versus 3. I'm pretty sure it was Michigan 2, Ohio State 3. But it's like, yeah, shouldn't they just maybe drop to 4? TCU come up to 3, or maybe don't move at all? But it's rankings convention. That's just how it is. So there's an argument as to whether USC belongs in there. But we're dealing with humans with these rankings. They're human rankings. 4781 says, have me and 9315 do a podcast for you guys. Interview teams, that way you guys can do the show. Maybe. So, thanks so much for texting in. We're just about to wrap up the show. We got like 10 seconds here. Thanks so much for your interaction. Love doing this show with you. So, we'll both be back. Me and Eric will be back on the show tomorrow. We'll talk to you guys then.